Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Fast Leadership Podcast with Arno and Gordon, where we look to take the rocket science out of leadership and make it accessible to everybody.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Fast Leadership Show with myself, Arno Stephen, and Gordon Tredgold. Hi, Gordon. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I apologize if there's some noise in the background because there's actually a storm going outside. It's not too bad, but it's quite windy and the rain is very heavy. So sorry about that. But it's a good illustration of what I wanted to talk today. I wanted to talk to you about storms, but in a business place. How do you keep it cool? How do you keep the team engaged in their task when there's a crisis? How do you team your work done? How do you lead during crisis and storms? That's the topic of today. I think it's a rather interesting topic, especially with probably the new storms coming. We've had a few in the last few years, but we'll get more for sure. And so, what do we do from that?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. It's an interesting question. And we often talk about emotional intelligence and the importance of that with leaders. And one of the things with emotional intelligence is self-regulation. How do you respond to things? So as leaders, it's important to bear in mind that the thing about a leader is that people are looking for you for guidance and direction setting. And leadership defines culture. So if we have a crisis and you start to panic,
right,
you're creating a culture of panic. And
people will follow the panic. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
And people always assume that a leader knows more than other people. Now, I don't mean that they are more intelligent, just more knowledgeable about the situation or the implication. So if the leader is panicking, then this is serious. We need to worry about it. And whereas if we are calm and we are in the eye of the hurricane, find the eye of the hurricane so we can create that calm and peace, then that's going to be the impact we're going to have on the people around us. We don't have a choice.
Okay.
We have to be calm. Yeah? That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was flying the other day and next to me was a person who was very anxious about flight.
Yeah.
And I told her, well, if the pilot's still in the plane, then it should be all right.
Yeah.
If you see him or her with a parachute and getting out of the plane, then you're in trouble. Yeah.
Well, and as just taking the plane analogy, if you're sat next to somebody who's like, oh my God, this is my first flight, I'm so nervous, you can just hold the hand and say, hey, I've flown 150 times. It's okay. There's no issue. It's the safest form of transport. Just be calm, relax. There might be a little bit of turbulence, but it will be temporary. We'll get through it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting how we. I'm probably going to sound sexist when I say this and also racist, but I think, it's...
Don't get us cancelled.
No, but it's like when you're on a plane, have you noticed now, it's always a very posh, quite often English accent. And, they just have a demeanor. It's like, it's almost like that, the British stiff upper lip and, the pilot going, don't worry, the engines have fallen off, but I'll get you there safely. And, whereas, there's just that reassurance in that there's a kind of a what you would call a pilot's voice. They all have that same tone, that same kind of, what I would kind of call BBC accent. Even if you get on foreign planes, it's a similar tone, and it just helps calm us down. And so as leaders, this is why I talk about the importance of or the relevance of emotional intelligence because it becomes a self-regulation. And what we have to do is we have to find a way to regulate ourselves. So that's how we respond in terms of crisis, because we are the anchor that people will cling to. So if we panic, they panic. If we're calm, they'll be calm. So we just need to, guys, take a moment, take a breather. Let's take a second and let's refocus and come back at this. And with an emotional intelligence and understanding self-regulation and how we respond, that's one of the things to do. If somebody says something you don't like, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Count to 10. Don't just react, and understand what your triggers are so that you can see them coming and hold them. And there's a great technique that I learned. I think it's related to NLP, and it's called anchoring. Are you familiar with this technique?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you hold the thumb and forefinger, think about something positive. And when I did my first TED talk in French and I was super nervous, I held that and I just thought about positive times of, events where it had been difficult and I came through it successfully, because that was the mental state I wanted to put myself in. So you think about it, you hold your thumb and forefinger and anchor. So when you're in times of stressful situations, maybe just anchor and go, okay, we'll get through this. Put yourself in that positive mindset. And it's also important to bear in mind. So here's a question for you. Name me any situation throughout history where panicking was the solution to the problem.
I'm not an historian, but I can say probably zero.
Zero, yeah. Panicking isn't going to help us. So I've actually been on situations where it's like, okay, guys, if you want to panic, we've got 1 minute. Okay, we're done panicking now, because that's not going to move us towards a success.
Right.
So we've got panicking out of the way. Now let's focus on the solution. What are our options? What can we do?
I love it. Yeah, I'll bring a guest to our show today. So people listening to us won't see it because it's a very visible guest. But maybe you know this little guy from Disney's Inside Out #2. His name is Anxiety.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the movie, and I know many people have seen the movie, it's a blast. And Anxiety, it comes in the main character's head, and it starts to take control by trying to do too good.
Yeah.
It tries to prevent any harm that could happen to the main characters, and it tries to control everything and makes everything all right. But it turns out that because it is anxiety, it goes too fast and it goes too far away, and it moves in very erratic directions. And at the end, it's not a big spoiler, it's the way anxiety works, right?
Yeah.
In the end, the main character just stops and get an anxiety attack because of the influence of anxiety. And so maybe there's a nice lesson for us here. It is that if you try to be 100% of the time, you'll get yourself a nice anxiety attack. And you won't do anything. So I really like the 80-20% rule, I really like it because that's the way I work, I like to do it good, and I mean, good is good enough. And better to me might be the opposite of good.
Yeah, it can get good enough. Better can often get in the way of good enough. But we talk about the Fast Leadership Show. It's about taking the rocket science out of leadership. But I know as an astrophysicist, you like equations.
I do.
So there's a great book called I think it's called Emotional Formulas.
Okay.
And the only one I remember from that is the formula for anxiety.
What's that? A
It,
formula, really? Like
it's
an equation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's yeah, and I thought I'm not sure whether this is going to be right or not. As a mathematician, I was coming in with this form. You're trying to apply logic to emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'm going to get this, but actually, I really like it because I think it gives us some coping tools. So the formula for anxiety is uncertainty
Uh-huh.
times powerlessness.
Mm.
So the more uncertain, the more powerless we feel, the more anxious we become. So the antidote to anxiety is to gain more understanding about something. So we
Right.
reduce the anxiety. And to reduce the powerlessness, we need to come up with some options. And even if,
Right.
do you want to be shot or stabbed, even though those options might not be great, at least now I have power. I get to choose how I'm going to die. So it's slightly less,
Yeah.
but I say that jokingly, of course. But yeah, if we've got two options, now I'm no longer powerless. Or if I've got one option, I'm no longer powerless. I've got something that I need to do. So this is why when we talk about you know, panic never solved anything. Okay, so let's just take 30 seconds. Everybody scream, get it out of the way. Right now, let's talk about where are we? What is the situation we are in? Let's try and get rid of or diminish some of the uncertainty. And then let's start thinking about options because we want
Mm-hmm.
to get into action. And when we've got three options, now we're less powerful. We're less powerless. We we have more power. We
Double
haven't,
negative.
we haven't diminished. We've diminished our powerlessness because we've got some options. So we have the power to choose, and we have the power to do something. So anxiety is uncertainty times powerlessness. So as a leader, when we're in a crisis, we should try and increase the certainty. If we have it, if we know more than everybody else, share it. And that uncertainty, um, I've worked in companies where what they said is we're going to get rid of 5% of the staff.
Mm-hmm.
I was going, oh my God, that could be me. As a leader, one of the ways we could resolve the uncertainty is to say, actually, these are the 5%. And we don't want to tell people because it's going to be perceived as negative. And I appreciate this might not be the world's greatest example, but it might be perceived as negative, but 95% of the people are going to go,
Yeah. Yeah.
not me. Whereas if you don't say anything, you've got 100% of the people panicking. Now you've given 95% certainty. And then for the 5% where you say we need to make changes, you can come back and say, okay, so you're in the 5%. So now they have certainty. They might not like it, but at least they know. And it's like, and these are the options. There's work in another department. We're going to give you a severance package. You could leave right now, and give them control back over
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what we want people to do. And I
Yeah.
appreciate this might not sound like a great example, but I do think it shows how anxiety, if it can affect everybody, and if we can kind of target it and then give those people options, that's actually better for everybody because everybody thinks they're in that 5%. So when you tell the 5%, it's not news to them. They already assumed that anyway, but now you're giving them options. So as leaders, we want to be looking at, yes, this is a problem. Yes, it is going to, you know, I worked in IT and we used to have outages all the time. Yes, it is an outage. Yes, we have impacted the business. Yes, we're going to be losing revenue. However, if we can get it fixed in the next hour, we'll keep that to a minimum. And okay, so what are some of the things we can go and do? And let's get people into action and out
Yeah.
of
I
that
was about to say,
inactive.
if I was in the 5%, I would want to know.
Yeah,
I would want to reduce my own uncertainty.
yeah, and then take action.
Because
Yeah,
and I can take action. I like that formula because okay, I'm gonna dive into math a little bit.
so that's logic and emotions.
Yeah,
Actually works.
But the thing is, any number multiplied by zero equals zero.
Correct.
So if there's no uncertainty or no
We've got power. Yeah, no powerlessness.
yeah. So the anxiety comes down to zero. And that's a very powerful tool, right? If you're certain about the way you go, because the leader makes it very clear for you, then you're not anxious. You're just into the action.
Yeah, and I don't think we get. I understand the multiply it by zero, it goes down to zero. And I get that as a formula, but this is logic and emotions. But it does diminish it significantly. And what we're doing is we're taking ourselves out of the red and into the amber, so we can now function. Because when you've got that uncertainty and powerlessness, you're in a state of inaction, and if there's nothing to do but panic, then you're going to panic.
Yeah,
because it's the only option I've got. I'm going to panic. Okay, well, let me give you another option. let's try and do this. And the more options we give, the more power we give people, and we can move things out. So it's about as leaders, diminish the uncertainty and provide options to give people some degree of power and control, and that'll diminish anxiety. And that's what we should do with stress.
Yeah, and through transparency and clarity.
Yeah, and don't lie to people. Oh my God, this is serious. No, it isn't. The entire building's on fire. Yeah, but it's not that bad. People are going to see through that. They have a certainty of it's on fire. You're telling them it's not. You're mixing that. So it's good to be honest with people and go, you know what? Yeah, this is serious. We're impacting the business. If we don't do something about this, we are going to lose. We're going to fail. Okay, now we know that. What can we do to turn it around?
Right.
Be honest with people, but otherwise, as I say, you want to be optimistic. But why are you optimistic? We've got a 1% chance of success. Well, I'm optimistic because I initially thought there was zero, and now it's increased significantly to 1%. So let's put 100% effort in this 1% chance. It's the only way forward. So let's go and do it. And we've got to do that with our teams. Give them some possibility, that feeling of possible success, and let's move forward. But we have to create that eye of the hurricane where there's calm. It can be chaos all around us, but we've got to create that calm and then find some options and get people moving into action and taking positive steps forward.
Yeah. Really like that metaphor, because as a martial artist myself, the way to become calm is to be very at the center of the action. So the attacking person is on the outside of it, and if I keep my center, my balance, and the balance between me and what's coming to me, I'm in the eye of the hurricane, and I can respond to the attack.
Yeah,
so it's about the same with life, right?
Yeah. The other thing I would say, because you just reminded me of there, is the the three circles. There's a circle of control. There's a circle of influence, those things that have an influence on us that we might be able to influence, but we can't control. And then we've got the things that are outside of our control. And, we need to understand when we're anxious about something, is it within our control? Is it within our influence? Is it outside of our control? If it's outside of our control, then we have to accept it.
Yeah.
And if it's that we can't do anything about it. But let's find things that within our circle of influence and ideally within our circle of control, so we can try and go do it. And a lot of times, things that are outside of our, circle, they're in that circle of influence. Actually, it's not really going to impact us. So, it's a worry, but it's not a worry for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need to manage our, understand the implication of it. We often do. I often, I work a lot in project management, and we always do risk analysis. And but we always have to do is do when you do the risk assessment, what is the size of the problem, and then what's the percentage chance it's going to hit us. I mean, it's like you probably know more about this than me. I think there was something where there's an asteroid coming that's got like a 1% chance of hitting the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 10%, I'm going to worry about it. 1%.
But you could worry, but you can't do anything about it.
That's right. I can't do it. It's 1%. I could spend all day worrying about something that has a 1% chance. Yeah. And to be honest, if it is coming, there's people higher up the food chain that have got more tools to deal with that. We can go and hire some drilling experts to put an atomic bomb inside it. I'm sure Bruce Willis would be available if the money's right to do that. But so we need to, again, as leaders, we are the ones that need to bring that clarity of it's an issue, but there's a 1% chance. Guys, let's not. There are bigger things to worry about that have a bigger impact that we can change. That. Not so much. So we have to, separate issue from concern and worry, and then focus on what are the actions we can take to diminish any potential negative impact. But it takes discipline. As you say, martial arts, you've got to find your center. And as a leader and a martial artist, nobody's going to do that for you.
Yeah.
They'll give you techniques, but you're the one that's got to do that.
You're in charge of your centering.
And we talk about emotional intelligence, and sometimes emotional intelligence is about being able to take emotion and panics and emotion out of it and get them out of emotion into action.
Yeah. And that's why it's not an easy task, and even the best leaders get to listen to our podcast.
It wouldn't have been the first time when I've been in a meeting. I said, "Excuse me, I just need to go to the bathroom." Go to the bathroom, and then come back in and go, "Okay, right now, where were we? And let's get forward." So we sometimes have to release it, but we've got to be the calm, be the voice of reason, and start getting people thinking about action. Get them out of panic and into action.
I love it. Be the calm, and I think that's a great final word for today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching or reading us. Please be calm. Be the calm people need around you, and don't forget to subscribe and listen to other episodes. Rank them, send us comments or messages. We will respond to them and we will read them for sure. It really helps us giving you the best past leadership show possible. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.